let me know.
Show, man, it's Deion Dawkins, and you listening to the Real Deal Sports Show on the Beat 105.5.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Real Deal Sports Show with the Rad Man, coming to you live from the Rock Pawnbroker Studios each and every week as we give you our comments and takes on sports of all sorts, because we're talking sports of all sorts here on Real Deal Sports Show. Thank you so much to E-Rad down there in Gaston, Alabama. Last week I broadcast to you live last Saturday morning from Gaston, Alabama, from the E-Radney Studios. The plain truth, speaking only the plain truth about Auburn football. Auburn had a tough game against Georgia last weekend, and man, it didn't bode well for Auburn there at the end. But E-Rad continues to speak the plain truth about Auburn football. And thank you for allowing the Rad Man into your studios last weekend to do the show last week. And I hope you're with us. I hit on a lot of winners on Winner's Edge last weekend. We'll get to Winner's Edge toward the end of the show. So I hope I can help you make a hell of a lot of money this weekend. I got some good picks for you coming up toward the end of the show. But first, let's get to MLB, Major League Baseball. Last night, exciting game. The Seattle Mariners came from behind down 2-1. Suarez woke up with his bat, and the Mariners defeated the Blue Jays 6-2 to take a 3-2 lead. Now the series moves back to Toronto. Can my Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, continue? Vladdy Guerrero had a tough night last night, but he's having an outstanding series. Rochester's own Ernie Clement, another key hit. This guy is batting out of his mind. I don't know what happened with Ernie Clement from Rochester, New York. I used to umpire some of his games when he played for Diamond Pro and also Legion Ball and some of his high school travel league ball when he was with Brighton. I didn't ump him at Brighton High School, but I did have him during Legion and also some of the Diamond Pro teams here in the marketplace. He was always a good, steady ball player. But man, his hitting when he was drafted by the Cleveland Indians out of high school, or the Cleveland, at that time, the Cleveland Guardians, now they're the Cleveland Guardians. Man, the guy had trouble hitting. He's always been a excellent fielder. Excellent fields the ball. Ernie Clement he doesn't commit many errors. He makes a lot of, matter of fact, dynamic plays that he can play second, short, third base. And he's been playing with Bo Bichette out. He's been playing second base for the Toronto Blue Jays. And they haven't missed a beat defensively or surprisingly offensively. Man, Ernie Clement is lighting it up. I mean, what would have been the game-winning run last night? They went up 2-1. He drove in Alejandro Kirk in the 6th inning last night to give the Blue Jays a 2-1 lead. That lead held up until the bottom of the 8th, and the Mariners came storming back. Suarez hit the big hit in that game last night that gave them the Seattle Mariners the decisive 6-2 win. And now the series comes back to Toronto with the Blue Jays down, the Mariners up 3-2. Watch out. George Springer got hit in the knee. Hopefully George Springer can come back. He was hit with a fastball while he was at the plate batting. He had to leave the contest. Hopefully he can come back because they're going to need his bat. With Bo Bichette being out, Ernie Clement, Alejandro Kirk, and Andre Jimenez. The bottom of the lineup has been the story for the Toronto Blue Jays this entire baseball season. They've shown up throughout the season, through thick and thin. The bottom of the Toronto Blue Jays lineup has been carrying this roster for most of the season. They've always come up with key hits. And then Vladdy got going later in the season. George Springer, some of those guys. Anthony Santander, the high-priced free agent they gathered this year, just like the Buffalo Bills guy, they injured. Anthony Santander had a bad shoulder. He's probably going to have shoulder surgery or something because he's not the same Anthony Santander. So they had to take him out the lineup. Matter of fact, they took him off the roster and brought up Joey Lopafito yesterday. So Anthony Santander, the high-priced free agent, is out of the rest of this series with that shoulder. He's going to have some type of surgery. He's been out since May, and he came back, and you could tell he's not the same guy. He's not the same guy. Remember, he's not the same guy. Definitely. Remember, you can continue. He's not the same guy. Toronto won it 6-2. Let's talk about the LA Dodgers. Dodgers just swept the Milwaukee Brewers. The Dodgers pitching staff just showed out. And then to add insult to injury in last night's game, Shohei Ohtani, who they said who was in a slump, he hit 3 home runs last night, y'all. 3 home runs. Had a outstanding, and he had the nerve to be pitching as well yesterday. And the Dodgers did in the Milwaukee Brewers 5-1. They swept them. The Dodgers, all their high price. You talk about high price free agents. All of their high price free agents are showing out. Taylor Gassnow had a great game the other night. Yamamoto. I mean, they just got a who's who of all-star pitchers for the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are the heavy favorites to win the World Series, to win it back-to-back with their high-price lineup. And their high-price lineup is working out for them this year. They're just playing outstanding baseball. Congratulations on the Dodgers clinching the National League Divisional Series, Championship Series, 4 games to none, beating the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday 5-1. So they move on. Now they get to wait, and it could be either one game on Sunday night or Sunday night and Monday night in Toronto. And you know the games aren't going to be canceled because they're playing a dome. So that rain and heavy rain they expected that's coming through this way and through into Canada won't affect that game Sunday night or Monday night, because they're going to have the dome closed on both of those nights, and see if Toronto hasn't won a game at home against them in this playoff series. So Seattle was the first team to finally win a home game in this series, because both teams won 2 games on each other's turf. So it's going to be a good series. We see what the Blue Jays can do, and we also see what they can bring to the table when they come back to Toronto, flying back today and getting ready for that big game on Sunday night. Baseball, the viewers are up. More and more people are watching baseball. Again, thank you, fans, coming back to baseball, watching the baseball series, because both of these series are really good series, and they're really playing well for Major League Baseball. So keep an eye out. Seattle versus the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow night, 8 p.m. From Toronto. Game number 6 in that series. Mariners leading 3-2. So let's check it out and see what happens there, because you got a lot of action. Can Vladdy Guerrero carry his team? Can Vladdy carry the Blue Jays to victory? He had a chance last night with men on first and second, 2 outs. He ended up striking out in that 5th, I believe that was 5th or 6th inning. Man, the Jays had their chance to win it last night. They just couldn't pull it off. And, of course, you let a lame dog lie too long, and that dog will get up and bite. You don't wave a bone in front of a dog. Right, Bilal? If you wave a bone in front of a dog for too long, what that dog going to do, Bilal?
He going to bite.
and that's what the Mariners did. Yeah, you can't play with a dog with a bone in front of him. No, that's what they did last night. They bit in the bottom of the 8th. Congratulations to the Seattle Mariners. We'll see how it goes coming up next with the next series coming up. But Bilal, we want to get into the high school sports segment. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the show, Real Deal Sports Show with the Radman. Like, comment, and subscribe on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for the new subscribers. I picked up some Southern subscribers while I was in Gaston, Alabama last weekend, in Birmingham, Alabama, and also Atlanta, Georgia. Man, what a party they threw down there in Atlanta for their 66th anniversary of the Atlanta Falcons football team. But we'll come to that in a moment. Let's get our high school update, Bilal. What's going on with Section 5 as the playoffs are finally here? Man, it finally seemed like the season just blew by.
Right.
What you have for us?
Listen, Section 5 is getting to that time of the year where we are, it is getting riveting, like edge of your seat stuff. And this is why you got to love high school football. I mean, in football at all levels, but high school football, over the season, you start getting injuries and whatnot. But the teams that can stay healthy, the teams that can stay moving, I mean, they stay at the top. Of course, we know the powerhouse Monroe Red Jackets still undefeated. But they finally got scored on. You know what I mean? They had shut out just about every team this season. HFL was able to get in the end zone on them. but still no one's come close to challenging them, and I think they're gonna be in the States this year. They are a dominant offense and defensive team.
Has that hurt them, Bilal? Has that hurt? Do you think that will hurt Monroe because they haven't played stiffer competition this season? They haven't played any out-of-state teams or Pennsylvania, Ohio, or other really good teams out of New York City that could prepare them for the playoffs when they do finally reach and have to play a really tough team.
That'll hurt younger teams, but this team is so experienced and they have such experienced coaching on the sidelines. I don't think that it's gonna creep up on them in the playoffs, or whether it be the sectionals or the states. They have a 2-year starter at quarterback. Their starting running back is a 2-year starter on defense, and then made the addition to playing running back this year. So he's the starting middle linebacker as well as being a starting running back. You know, we got Mr. Oregon himself, man. Messiah Hampton. He again, just outstanding across the board, the level of leadership. They got the phenom 6'4" Brian Walker on the other side, who's back, and the X factor. This young man Ray Garcia he's electric. He just gets the ball in space and eats up defenses. And then you got Louis Falou, who will blow the defense, blow the top off of defense. He's a low 10 guy in the hundreds and outdoor track. So if he catches a fly, good luck. So they've got so much veteran leadership on that team. Even though they don't have even though they're not loaded with seniors, they have a lot of talent that'll be coming back next year. They have so many guys who've been in their starting roles multiple years that I don't think that not being challenged will be difficult for them. I think also when you have that coaching staff that really pushes, they prepare and play like they're getting ready for sectionals all season long.
Yes, indeed. Very good breakdown of that. That's going to be interesting to see how they do. Some of the other teams that are coming back, like Gates Charlie had a rough, tough season last year, but head coach Andre Fontenette, I see you in on the check-in line. Thank you for joining us, Andre, on the check-in line there this morning. They won 37-10 last night over a Greece Athena team, and they made the sectionals this year. I think they barely won one game a year ago. And can you talk to Coach Fontenette turning around the Gates Charlie Spartans football program?
If you know Coach Fontenette and understand his pedigree, you knew it wasn't a matter of if, just when. The longer he had to be able to work with and develop this team and get his imprint and DNA on this team, you knew they were going to turn it around. And you knew it'd be sooner rather than later. Last year, he comes in and implementing his program, his scheme, his his imprint is started last year. But now you're starting to see those things really take effect, take shape. Even after a little bit of a slow start to the season, you started to see the team really come together. They beat a solid East Ridge team a couple of weeks ago. Come back this week, Greece. He is again. If you know the level of coaching that's on that sideline, you knew it wouldn't be long before Gates Charlie was able to start turning the corner. And I think what we're seeing is an investment in that program, not just for the near future, but for the future. They're going to have an outstanding program. They're doing a lot of investing in not just the football program, but in the sports program and athletics over at Gates Charlie in general. And I think they're going to be a powerhouse in the next couple of years. Look out for Gates Charlie. And Coach Fontenette, salute to you. Amazing job.
Absolutely. Hats off to him. Definitely. A very dominating fashion there. You're absolutely right. And the victory at East Ridge was really good. I was at that game a few weeks ago. They've had a very good season. And I believe they might be playing East Ridge next Friday night at Gates Charlie in the first round of the sectionals for the playoffs. But who else in the area teams that you think that could be some sleepers that may have success in the tournament?
So I'll tell you what, I don't think as much as they're 500 right now, but no one's going to want to see Fairport come to sectionals. Fairport has, they've got amazing coaching, offense, defense. I mean, they've got all the pieces. Their quarterback he's a stud. He is a stud. I've watched him a couple of games this year up close. The young man can put the ball in the air or on the ground, and he plays tough. And they're a tough, disciplined team. So that's a team you don't want to see. I don't think teams are going to want to see once the sectionals come. I also don't think teams are going to want to see or play Batavia. Batavia, again, they're not as dominant as they've been in the past, but they have a sneaky way of again, when you have that history of excellence in your program, when you just say, hey, if we can get to the sectionals, it's a brand new ball game. And those programs, when they show up in the sectionals, teams are like, oh, even if they're not the Batavia that they've always been, teams are still going up against them thinking, man, this is Batavia. And when they come with that mental edge, how do you get a win over a team that's already coming in with a bit of that mental edge and that history behind them?
Absolutely. Batavia's always been a tough playoff team. When they get to the sectionals, they always seem to do well. And no matter who's playing, whoever wearing those uniforms, Batavia is well coached, well disciplined, and they always bring it. Who else you have that might surprise us?
Listen, if this is a surprise, that it means you haven't been watching, but keep your eyes out on Pittsford, man. Listen, they have an offensive scheming system. They took a loss this week, but again, and I think it was one of those. You unfortunately sometimes when you have a younger team, they'll play down to their competition. But man, Pittsford has the pieces. They've got the pieces to have a really, really good run in the postseason. And again, no shocker here. Rush Henrietta, one loss in the season. They suffered their only loss to Pittsford in a game where they lost their starting quarterback, who's also their starting safety and kicker. But they bounced back with a tough win, a good hard fought win against Fairport, and I mean in the rain out, and you saw the grit and the mettle of that team. The game was, it was deadlocked at 0 for most of the first 3 quarters. And then you just saw that team begin to, wear on the Fairport defense, and they started breaking some of those. And this is why you stick with your game plan. Those runs that don't produce a lot of big yards in the first half, when you stick with them, you wear down a defense. And in the second half, you started to see that take effect with young Wagstaff. That young man ran the heck out of the ball in the second half, and you saw their playmakers start to really step up and make those plays. We are in for again Section 5. This playoff season is gonna be nothing short of anything we've seen year in and year out. Section 5 sectionals is always outstanding. It's gonna be just as outstanding this year.
Absolutely. And this segment, of course, is being brought to you by the Advantage Federal Credit Union. Advantage. FCU.org, AdvantageFCU.org for auto loans, Visa cards, student checking accounts, and much, much more. Check out the Advantage Federal Credit Union now. They got a lot of great deals. If you're looking for a Humpty, a car for the winter season, get you through the winter, check out. They got some good car loans. The auto loan rates are some of the best in all of Monroe County. You're not going to find a better rate. So Advantage Federal Credit Union, AdvantageFCU.org. Check them out. And Bilal, this season is going great. Is East going to be? Are they rebuilding? What's going on with East High School?
And you want to say rebuilding, but who rebuilds this fast? I mean, if you know the young man legacy, he put Section 5 on notice with a game. I mean, he averaged 23 yards a carry a couple of weeks ago. Somewhere around 256 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and they were all, for long breaks. This young man, he's a 9th grader, true freshman. He put Section 5 on notice, and he's taking that team and he's putting them on their back, and they haven't lost. They haven't lost since they've really made an intentional effort to get him the ball. East High, you know, you want to say rebuild, but I mean, they somehow seem to reload year in and year out. Coach Vance, Coach Flag, outstanding job over there. Again, they were figuring out, kind of who they needed and where they needed where, because they had a lot of younger players this year stepping up into starting roles as first year varsity players. But that team came of age really fast. There's ninth graders in a lot of starting spots over at East High, but those, it speaks to who they have in coaching, that those young men, went from being ninth graders to juniors on the field real fast.
Wow. And that's a testament to their coaching over there to get these kids ready.
Absolutely. And again, East High is they're another team. You don't want to see them in the sectionals. They're East High, and similar to Batavia. They might not have put fear in you all season, but come to sectionals, you're not gonna play East High.
Wow, that's good. I figured that because I figured they're always in the mix too. I see Nestor Walker's in on the mix as well. The Internet Passport says like, comment, and subscribe to the show. Please do, everybody. Like, comment, and subscribe to the show as we continue each week with excellent commentary. You're not going to get this kind of coverage anywhere on the dial here in the Rochester marketplace or throughout Western New York, as I should say, because Bilal knows his Section 5 football and knows what it takes to win in this one. So really, right now, you're looking at Monroe. You said Monroe is really the team to beat. Monroe in the cot. You think they'll get it up there where they'll be able to play for the semifinals or championship this year?
If I would be surprised, I would be shocked if that wasn't the case. I mean, again, you've got undefeated Western Rondequoit team, and you've got Brighton, over in Class A, who are also, playing great football. So I don't want to leave them out. But at the top of Section 5 right now, whether independent of class, Monroe is playing outstanding football and top to bottom. And I will say this: if they can somehow find a way to develop a kicking game, for extra points or field goals, young Brian Walker, he's a proven kicker. If they can implement or incorporate him at that state level, because points are at a premium once you get past the sectionals. Points are at a premium. And I think 2 years ago when they lost to Maine and that they saw that there were drives where they were inside of the red zone and they were going for it on fourth down and didn't necessarily convert those into first downs to keep the scoring drives alive. But if they could have turned those into 3 points here, 3 points there, we got a different ball game. And so if they can somehow manage to get Brian Walker's kicking incorporated into their game as a special teams, that'll be a special team to watch this postseason.
Absolutely, Bilal. And you brought up a very good point. Well, you would think all these schools have soccer teams. Most of them have a soccer team. You would think they would just go out and scout their own soccer teams and see who they have who can, and just try them out and say who can kick, who wants to kick, and give them an opportunity to see if they can kick field goals. Because a lot of these soccer players are now pro. And on the college level and on the professional level, turn into field goal kickers. I'm just surprised. Why won't they do that?
I think it seems like a very nuanced thing. Once you get a kicker and in the blocking, sometimes if you haven't really worked on it all year, I would say, when I say all year, I don't mean once the season starts. I mean, you got to start this in the summer. You got to start working on the blocking, the catch and the hold. You got to have someone who can really snap it back there and get it back there in time, so the holder can get it down. All of those pieces have to come together. And if you got a kicker, you got to start, but you got to have guys who really are committed and understand how to block for that extra point, that field goal. If they don't understand it, and I've been on the extra point and field goal block unit it's different than just your normal block because you got guys coming. You got to understand where the rush is coming from, whether it's middle, right, or on the edge. So understanding those nuances that teams sometimes figure with young guys, we'd rather go for it than risk a down where we're not going to produce anything. And we like our chances with a unit that we trust in the off. If you've got an offense that you really believe in, and I think sometimes it makes sense to go for it on fourth down. There's absolutely times where it makes sense to say let's really assert ourselves on offense. But again, there's times where you have to have that unit. And they say it. I mean, football is a game of three phases. You need offense, defense, and special teams. Special teams wins games.
Absolutely. Well, very well said. And we're gonna move on to the college to the NFL now. That's an excellent point you made there. And it was I had a kid I met over at Edison Career and Technical Center. Kid yesterday was in the classroom, and man, he was kicking. He had balled up a piece of paper, and man, it wasn't. Thank goodness, it wasn't his real work. He was working on his assignment as well. But man, he was just kicking the paper ball back and forth. This at his desk there. And I went over, I said, man, you got some excellent rhythm and excellent this to do a piece of paper the way he was moving it. And I was like, wow, this kid I could see him on the soccer field, definitely. Of course, he loves soccer. I believe he said he was from Mozambique. First time I had met this young man yesterday. So you got a lot of international kids here in the city of Rochester going to school in the whole 9 yards. And these kids they got the skill already. They just got to be, like you just said, a whole off season working with them during the offseason to see if some of them can be a kicker, because you're right, the kicking game is a very important part of the of winning and losing, especially because when the games are tight, you may need that kick rather than trying to go for two or something, and your quarterback or your running back may not be 100% late in the game. Hey, if your kicker is there, you got a quality kicker and you're confident, you can get the job done. And speaking of that, this next segment is brought to you by Challenger Community News, Western New York's largest weekly African-American newspaper, Buff, B-U-F-F, C-H-A-L-L-N-E-W-S, buffchildnews.com. Email your articles to editor@thechallengernews.com. And we're going to talk about the Bills in Atlanta. We're going to talk about that ambushing that took place in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know if you saw it, Bilal, where everybody called the cops or needs some help. It was an ambush down there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as the Atlanta Falcons were celebrating their 66th year of existence as an organization. And they rolled out the red carpet. Man, it was a party from outside the stadium. Oh, man, they were throwing that. Man, the assistant in them who was cooking that, that doggone hot catfish out. Oh, my gosh, man, they were throwing it down, man. That catfish and grits is, look, good Lord Almighty, man. It was, man, I got to get to the gym today and every day to just work some of that off from being down there in the great state of Georgia and also down in the Alabama area last weekend. But one thing for sure, Bilal, did it seem the Bills were ready for this game?
I don't think they had it in store. They realized what Atlanta had in store. And when you watch it, shout out to Raheem Morris. I mean, who's an absolutely outstanding coach. I mean, just phenomenal, right? He took AJ Terrell and said, "You're on Keon Cole, you're on Coleman, and wherever it seemed like whatever route he was running, AJ Terrell was on him like he was like they told him the routes in the huddle.
Yeah,
he was there, and so it really neutralized what they wanted to do with him, and what that does is once Atlanta was able to assert themselves on defense, I mean, as a matter of fact, they came out opening drive. I mean, they came out the opening drive and walked down they literally walked down the field. You got, man, Bijan Robinson, who is, I mean, if you don't know who he is, you don't know football. That young man, I mean, you can't say enough about. He's inserted himself. To me, he's inserted himself in the MVP conversation.
I agree with you, Bilal, on that. I mean, I hadn't seen him in person, and man, this guy was everybody impressed about was just wow, man, impressed with how this guy, the speed and how he can just, man, once he gets a step on you, he's gone. Let's hear what head coach Raheem Morris had to say after the game about this contest.
some good looks. Our guys went out there and took advantage of those looks. Really made the plays, really executed up front, really executed in the back. I think our down the field block of the day, 1-yard run by Casey was absolutely outstanding. You don't make plays like that without blocking on all 3 levels. So,
AJ Terrell, can you tell us a little bit about his play and what he means to this team?
AJ coming back this week was absolutely awesome. It was an awesome lift for us. Obviously losing Billy during the course of the week, all those things happen. But getting AJ back, our leader on the back end, or one of our leaders on the back end, is always going to be great for us and great for us.
All righty. And that's one thing when you notice with Raheem Morris's comment, and he also talked about Bilal. It's funny you mentioned it already. It was brought up earlier in the press conference about how they put AJ Terrell on Keon Coleman, and they said that created such a mismatch because Keon Coleman, let's face it, he can't beat anybody. But you're gonna put him on the highest paid, the best. Which when you're the highest paid defensive back in the National Football League, he coming off an injury. He had been out of the lineup a few games. This was his first game back. The team had a bye week, so the whole team was rested and ready to play this game. Everybody talked about how Raheem Morris just totally outcoached Sean McDermott and just embarrassed Sean McDermott in this Monday night affair with the coaching moves he made. And also commenting, you look on the Bills side of it, why the hell would you have your running back, why would you have Cook on the sideline? Every time you take Cook out the game, you pass the ball. So that tendency, they just knew Buffalo was going to pass, and they blitzed almost. And man, they were coming. They brought the house, man. And all Josh Allen had to do is if somebody on the sideline said, "Hey, Josh, we don't have enough men to block." Obviously, they blitzing you. They're coming with all kinds of stunt. They wasn't even stunning. They just came. They wasn't even disguising it after a while. They just came with the damn house. Why would you go to your outlet? Your outlet, Ty Johnson, was wide open to the right side in the flat. All you had to do was throw a 2 to 3 yard pass. And Ty Johnson, one time the guy wasn't even there. Ty Johnson could have ran for 40 yards on a 3 yard pass or a 5 yard pass. He could have ran for a touchdown on some of them because they wasn't even there. After a while, they didn't even cover him. They covered him once in a while, but he still could have caught the ball and picked up a first down because they were so far back off of him. They didn't want to get beat, so they stayed back. He could have caught it, picked up. I didn't understand why Josh Allen. And see, this is where the problem I've always had with Josh Allen. He's more of a linebacker. He's not a cerebral type quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but when you get in situations like this and you look at the iPad and Ty Johnson over there talking to him, say, "Hey, man, throw the ball in the flat." He never attempted to throw the ball in the flat. I don't know. That's where the cerebral part of the game comes in. He's a great quarterback, best quarterback in Bills franchise history. But you see in the shortcomings of Josh Allen when you get in situations where teams are blitzing and you have an offensive coordinator that didn't help Josh Allen out at all in this game. And Bilal, if you can answer that first, and I see we have the Fanatic coming in too. But Bilal, what's your take on that?
So I totally agree. As an offensive coordinator, your job is to get the guys in spaces where they can really do what they do. And so I think schematically they didn't make a better effort to get Keon Coleman the ball. They had some uncharacteristic like drops. There were a couple of drops that you're like, that usually doesn't happen with the Bills. So again, uncharacteristic like things. But I will say that to your point, the thing that hurt him the most is you gotta have James Cook on the field. I think I'm hoping that with it happening, this early on in the season.
Oh God.
I'm hoping that would it happen this early on in the season that they will say, listen, our formula for winning the ultimate goal that we have this year, which is Super Bowl, can't be, again, Josh Allen put on his Superman cape. That can't be the formula. I mean, they've been calling him Superman, and he's an outstanding, absolutely outstanding quarterback and player in the National Football League. I take nothing away from him, but when you're walking around calling the guy Superman, football is not a game where Superman can win you the ultimate prize. You need the coaching to put guys in the right spaces. We're seeing it with even with the Eagles. You know what I mean? Got no motion, no creativity. to me, this was the sign that the Bills were in trouble last week. They ran a hook and ladder, and again, and as much as it got them the first down that they needed at that time of the game, when you're having to go to your bag of tricks, you know what I mean, to find offense, it to me is a sign or indication that you're not. This isn't a game that you came prepared for with a game plan to win. That to me was a really bad sign.
I can't take it anymore. Oh my God. Hey, what up, Real Deal Sports Show? It's the Fanatic. I'm getting up live and early. Bilal, my brother. Hey, I love you. Or glad you on the show. Don't be drinking the Radman's juice. Radman, now you want to try and act like Superman ain't Superman because he pressing? Y'all got the nerve, the unmitigated gall, the I can't say it like that, but Sam Cassell style to tell me about Josh Allen. Want to go Giants? Let's talk about the cleat marks that the Bills defense, everybody on the defense should have had to get their own ride back to Buffalo. Let me tell you something. Bijan Robinson was playing a 7-on-7 drill out there. Do y'all know he had 19 carries for 170 yards, which equals 9 yards a carry? And yes, Radman, Bilal, Real Deal Sports Show family, I know y'all think, well, he had the 81-yard touchdown. Great. You take that out, simple math. You take out that 81-yard rush. Guess how many yards he was averaging a rush without the 81-yard run? 5 yards a carry. Y'all talking about Josh Allen. Josh Allen playing out there with a JV defense. But Ed Oliver, they want to highlight him. All right, see, Ed Oliver's out there eating some ham hock, some neck bones. He's out there eating with the Radman lady that he been talking about. The defense was non-existent. Yeah, Josh Allen didn't play great, but he got a press. New England punked Buffalo. Atlanta punked Buffalo on defense. Y'all got the nerve to talk about Josh Allen? Talk about the defense. Talk about where's the girth. Who gonna man up? I wanted somebody to get Brian Branch like. No, hey, let me take that back. I don't advocate violence. But if somebody on Buffalo would have went Brian Branch on Atlanta, hey, I would have understood that because that was an embarrassment. They let one man beat him. To me, Drake London, let's not forget him. He had 10 for 158 and a touchdown. Thank God for Bijan and Drake London because that's how I came back and beat the Radman in our fantasy football league. Thank God for them.
Barely.
So the Bills need to be saying, Radman, you should be upset. They cost you a fantasy football game. You would have been in first place. They let Bijan come back, bro. Come on. Y'all talking about Josh Allen. Yeah, he pressed it. He didn't play well. But to me, it was the defense. What is the answer? Is juiced up Matt Milano going to save you? Who on it? Cole Bishop can't cover himself in bed. Bilal, I think you would get 7 for 75 on him. And let's talk about Keon Coleman. If he wants to, he can't cover everybody on him like white on rice. Come on. The Bills' offense, real predictable. Joe Brady still is my guy. But this is mostly on the defense. Come on, folks.
Well, you got very good points you brought up there, Fanatic. Glad you're back in with us this morning.
Come on.
But the game was lost before the game started. When I noticed that Zion Loge and Fadarius Mathis, two young stud, 330-pound Mathis was not in there, 325-pound Zion Loge. They played very well against New England. They helped us. New England only had 71 yards rushing, total rushing yards in that game against Buffalo. Buffalo lost that game due to the 3 turnovers in that contest.
Well, and the lack of pass rush.
Say, hey, these guys earned the right. Those two guys earned the right to play. They weren't in play. You going to insert Jordan Phillips? Jordan Phillips a bum. He's a shell of himself. Why you keep going getting retreads? Bringing Jordan Phillips get run over every week. And, man, it was embarrassing when he got ran over 2 weeks against the Saints. And now you put him back in this week, and he gets – I didn't understand why Jordan Phillips was in the lineup. Daquan Jones hurt his calf. He's over 32, 33 years of age. He got hurt in pregame warm-ups, so he couldn't even play. And it's a shame that if people get hurt in warm-ups, it seems like they should have a rule that you should be able to take somebody from their inactive list to replace them.
I agree with that.
They need to look at that in the offseason and say, why can't you replace – you got them there. You're paying them. They're paying them a salary. If somebody gets hurt in pregame warm-ups, why can't you take one of your guys who you already have inactive and activate them to the roster? But neither here nor there. It was bad coaching decisions, not having Zion Loge, not having Fadarius Mathis in the starting lineup, playing in the rotation, instead of having bums, retreads. And on the back end, how much longer can you put up with Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp? They're slow.
Come on.
They're two steps. They're very slow. They can't cover. They can't make up the ground at all. And it was so. Cole Bishop had the angle on Bijan Robinson on that run, and he just threw him off like it was just a paper towel or something, man. This shook him off of him and ran all the way on that 81-yard tee. It's embarrassing. The back end has been messed up since last season. They won't. I don't know why Justin Simmons. You got to get some veteran guys in. Get some at the trade deadline. Get you a veteran safety. And bring a veteran safety in here. You got to have it, right?
Listen, I gotta say, every point you made was spot on, Fanatic. But here's where it goes back to Josh Allen in the offense, and again, not Josh Allen because he played a horrible game, but because when you are the reigning NFL MVP, you are expected again. And let's be real, right? The Falcons only scored 21 points. 14 points out of that from this Bills offense with Superman, the NFL's reigning NFL MVP, is not gonna get it done. That is just the reality. And when you are that guy, right? No one's giving the credit to the defense. When they came back and beat the Ravens, right? In that game, they were 15 points down. Nobody talked about the fumble, and gave credit. No one gave credit to the defense for them winning that game. It was Josh Allen. If it was when it was Tom Brady in the Patriots, when it's Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs, when you're that guy, the wins are credited to you, and then when you lose, especially a game 14-21, and you're that guy, 14 points is just not it. So it's not to say that he, you know what I mean? Oh, it's all on Josh Allen. But when you're that guy, that's who they're going to be talking about, and rightfully so. 14.
They only gave up 3 points in the second half. Believe it or not, the defense only gave up 3 points in the second half, which was amazing. That they only scored 3 more points to get it 24. But that blocked field goal that Greg Russo deflected the field goal, blocked it, and then the Bills turned around and go 3 and out. To me, that was the telling point of the game. The Bills had the momentum switch, and they didn't. And 3 and out was not totally unacceptable.
Agree. Yep. And if Josh, to your point, Bilal Rabbit, I hear you. The Josh Allen should be that dude. When he is that dude, he needs to overcome that. I get what you're saying, but I felt like you guys are both seeming like it was mostly on the offense. And Bilal, I think you still are saying that. Where to me, I'm saying Josh Allen, he need to play better. I will put more of that on the defense because even going back to the New England game, Drake May was back there chilling. He had a 73% completion percentage. And the Bills offensive line was getting whooped because the leading rusher in that game was Josh Allen. James Cook averaged 3.3 yards a carry. So what I'm saying, if you Bills fans, we're not listening to social media and the hype. We looking at real football. We all are real football fans here. It is all about the opportunity for the offensive line. And the Bills are getting beat in the trenches, in particular on the defensive line, and then that back end, as Radman said, is shameful. Brandon B need to make a trade. He need to get some help back there.
They certainly do, and we're going to keep rolling on this segment. It's brought to you by Katie's Hair Boutique and Beauty Supplies, located at 1071 Portland Avenue. Come and help Miss Katie celebrate her 55 years of being in business with her store-wide sale on beauty products, 585-342-0100. Give her a call or stop on by and congratulate her. 55 years in business is, hey, man, that's not more than a notion to do that, to hang in there, the ups and downs of business. You got to go out there and celebrate with Katie Harvey. And also, Kimmy does it best with custom website designs. Go to realdealsportshow.com. Check out our website. She does a great job with it, and she does upkeep and maintenance of your website. Kimmy can help your business online and grow online. Visit Kimmy does it best.com, KimmyBestDoesItBest.com, or support at KimmyDoesItBest.com. Check her out, and you get your get things. And last but not least, on the advertisers, Jamaican Soul Restaurant, 211 Genesee Street, featuring Soul Food Sundays, open noon to 9 on Sundays and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Man, check out Jamaican Soul for the finest there, the very best there is in Caribbean cuisine and some soul food Sundays. Check out that mac and cheese and that man. I tell you, those turkey wings, man. When you get that smothered turkey wings going, man, oh, man, what you talking about, man? There's some good eating up here in Rochester, New York. It's down there, but not like it was down there in Atlanta, y'all. I got to give them the props down there. Man, that was off the chain down in that marketplace. So, gentlemen, we're going to go to the winner's edge. Let's get to the picks for this week.
Win the people some money, Red Man. Let's win the people some money.
Yes, indeed. Let's win them some money like we did last week with some of those excellent picks last week. The only one that didn't come through, but I still say it was a false penalty called on the Detroit Lions early in that game against Kansas City. If they would have allowed that touchdown in the first quarter that they called back, and they never threw a flag, which was very suspicious. You know good and well New York City had to call that, said the formation wasn't right or something. But everybody on the field, they were ready to kick the extra point, and they stopped them and called it. So that would have put that game over. That game would have went over, but that game was the only game I missed out on that I was telling you as my hot pick of last week. But let's get it in for this week. Under 39, 8 to 40 points. Miami at Cleveland. The weather is looking stormy and dark and gloomy for tomorrow in Cleveland. The mistake on the lake is not going to be good weather tomorrow in Cleveland. If that holds true tomorrow, take the under. Miami versus Cleveland. It's going to be tough for both of those teams to put some points on the board tomorrow. That's my top pick for tomorrow. Fanatic, sounds like you got a top one as well.
Oh, yeah. Yep. For me, looking at some of the best games for me, I like it. The big one is what I think is probably the biggest game in that 1 o'clock window. The Eagles. They're actually, as a road favorite, they getting 2.5 in the spot that I'm looking at. They're getting 2.5 at Minnesota. Minnesota coming off a bye with a really good defense, and they don't have to run out their young boy J.J. McCarthy. That dude been broke up his whole career so in this year and a half. Give me the Vikings. Give me we're Lee Corso. Give me the headgear of a Viking. We doing the skull clap. If you want to win you some money, get you a skull clap on and take the home dogs. Minnesota Vikings coming off the bye. I like them 2.5 against the EAGLES Eagles.
Absolutely.
If the Eagles lose for a third week in a row, what are we saying about where they'll end up in the postseason?
I think they're like the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers were in a horrible slump back in July and August, but they turned it around. I have a feeling the Eagles, like the Dodgers, done turned it around. They woke up just when the playoffs started, and I think the Eagles look like that same type of team that when they get closer and closer to the playoffs, you're going to see them clean up some of that mess, and they're not going to get rid of AJ Brown. They're going to they got the components to repeat. They just got to put it together, and I think you'll see that later in the season, Bilal, for the
I agree totally with you, Rap Man. My concern is if they lose a third game in a row, will they be able to keep AJ Brown and you know what I mean from blowing a gasket? And because you gotta maintain the locker room, and that's you know what I mean. If you lose,
that's huge.
If that we know he's got a fuse, so a third game, especially if he doesn't get the targets or get get involved in the offense the way he feels like he should, that will be a very interesting watch.
But Bilal,
you're
talking about AJ
right.
Brown, guys. Let's skip AJ Brown for a minute. What about Tua, the quarterback of Miami, talking about guys not making it to the meeting and not showing up on time for meetings? I never seen a quarterback talk to air the business of his team out in the public like that.
Yeah, he's been doing that, man. And to me, he need to go back to Nick Saban. You wonder why Nick Saban, hey, Radman, you ought to be mad. He's trucking and driving and electric slide and Cuban shuffle, a wobbling at these black families' home. He get there and say, hey, this Bill Belichick style, we don't talk to the media. I'm the only one that talks, and thank God, because Tua, he called out Tyreek Hill during the year. He called out his own self. He don't even know it. Then he called out his own coach. That dude, Tua, hey, he needed to be able to say, don't talk anymore. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That piece of it. But I want to go back to your original question. To me, the Eagles, it's about how, if they lose, it's about how they lose. Because to me, if AJ Brown go for 125 and they lose, I don't think you'll see as much disruption. But I think because Minnesota's number one against the pass, I think they're going to, and Brian Flores, my man, speaking of Tua, But Tua talked about Brian Flores publicly. Tua just be talking all wildly about people. To me, Brian Flores, he be blitzing as soon as they come off the bus. So I think they're gonna put their hands on Jalen Hurts, and I think if AJ get a $125, it'll be all right in a loss. But I think he gonna have some trouble. AJ Brown, for me, I take the under prop of under 45 yards. I don't think he'll get even 50 yards tomorrow receiving, and that, Bilal, is what I think you're more concerned about. Does the locker room continue to implode if AJ doesn't get his numbers?
Exactly. And to Radman's point, Tua, and this is, to me, this is one of the detriments of having one of those college coaches who takes the Bill Belichick approach, like, I'm going to answer everything. You don't get a chance to really develop those guys who know they're going to have a microphone in front of them at some point. If there's going to be a microphone in front of them at some point, they need to be able to have the skills and experience, and you only develop that over time, and you only develop it in those situations where you're challenged, where you're up against the wall, and you see how they respond. I think Tua's got to take it more on the chin and know that he's got to be the leader. But it's unfortunate what's happening down in Miami, because I think a good coach, and a really good coach, an exceptional coach, and Mike McDaniels is going to end up losing his job. And they're stuck with Tua, who, again, I think he works better in certain systems. So do you go out and find a guy who fits the system? And if we're going to do that, then why are we going to get rid of McDaniels? What they need to find their run game again. They don't have a run game at all.
And they have it, and A-Chain is good. I don't know why they just wanted Mike McDaniel want to just always get him in space, but they need like a little power back, because A-Chain is nice, but you're right, that run game is not there. Hey, I'm gonna be real quick. I like the Jags plus 3.5 tomorrow in that early 9:30 Eastern kickoff in London, and then I like Detroit. They Tampa Bay, the Cardiac Kids, they've been coming back on every game. They come back and win. Give me Detroit. I'll take my first favorite of the weekend, 5.5 to cover at home. Jared Goff look like Jared Montana when he's out there rocking that 16, when he's rocking it at home in Detroit at Ford Field. Give me the Lions, baby.
I like that one too. I like the over of that game too, of Detroit, Tampa Bay. I like the over. And also San Francisco. I think San Francisco will cover against Atlanta, because Atlanta really isn't that good. When I went in there and saw how young those cats were in the locker room, I was like, man, these some babies out here, man. They did this to the Bills. I was like, that just shows you how great a coach Raheem Morris. People forget he was in Tampa Bay as a head coach. He's been around a lot of good coaches with the Rams. Raheem Morris doesn't get the credit that's deserved to him. He's an outstanding head coach, and I like that one. And one other game, the Chargers. I think the Chargers will take care of the Indianapolis Colts. I think it's time for them to show Daniel Jones a few things. I think they'll finally lose a contest to the Chargers on the West Coast, and also the New York Jets. Man, Aaron Glenn. Come on, man, just get the win, man.
That was bad.
I think this is your chance. This is your game, Aaron Glenn. Just get the win, man.
Yeah, because Carolina's high right now, and they do not play the same away from Bank of America Stadium. It's funny. They remind me of New England.
I love Aaron Glenn. Why do the Jets keep bringing in defensive-minded coaches, and what you need is an offensive-minded coach to develop a young quarterback that you just brought in? It just doesn't. They don't make good decisions as an organization to me.
Well, Anthony, I know we got to get ready to go wrap it up real quick, because just to that same point, and I would love to talk about this in further weeks. Now, Aaron Glenn, people are going to fire him after 1 year. Let's say he gets to the next year, then you're going to probably draft a quarterback this year. They may get the top 3 pick. So now you're going to have a quarterback with a coach who's already on the hot seat. So now that rookie quarterback is going to get punished for now. He's going to come in under Aaron Glenn, and then the next year come in under a new coach. It's just tough with that. So crazy.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you, BacSpin. Thank you. Sorry we went over time with you, BacSpin, but we'll catch you next week, everybody. Thank you for coming on a Real Deal Sports Show. Fanatic, Bilal, we'll keep it rolling, and we're going to keep rolling next week. Check us out. Like, subscribe to the show on YouTube, Facebook, and we'll catch you next week on Real Deal Sports Show.
Hey, yo, let's do it.
Take care.
Take care. Be a good sport. Like, subscribe.
Thank you, Fanatic. Thank you for